What's going on? It's Trending Story. If it's your first time here and you want to find out new facts that will definitely make you smarter and more well informed, make sure to subscribe and activate the notifications bell so you don't miss anything.
When it comes to the history of human wolves, the road is a very long one. For the most part, it's been a controversial in nature. Yet it wasn't always that way. In early times, when the Indians and animals were able to live in harmony, these animals were regarded in the highest regard. The Indians were in awe of their ability to work as a team when it came to finding food and protecting their own. They also found the social hierarchy of them to be interesting. However, as more people began to settle on the land and raise animals, the conflicts soon began, and the hatred for these animals quickly began to escalate. One of the reasons that people don't like wolves is that they're known to kill domestic animals. This includes pets and even cattle that may be raised for a living. The problem, though, isn't one that the wolves should be blamed for. Instead, it's the result of humans continually moving in on the land that used to be their natural habitat to roam. They're doing what they instinctively are programmed to do according to the laws of nature. In areas that aren't well inhabited by humans, such as around Alaska and some areas of Canada, wolves seem to be able to do well. They aren't bothering anyone, and so they're often left alone as well. In many other areas, though, they're under protection but are still illegally hunted. The wolves soon found him and slowly began to approach him. He seemed to have no escape. The In Nature advertisement at the Shangri-La Hotel perfectly described the idea that we should all look out for one another. This video takes a minute and a half, and we see a man walking through a cold forest. He's tired and desperate because he knows he can't last long. What complicates his situation is that he's followed by wolves in his foot. As night approached and he could not light a fire to warm himself, he collapsed in the snow. The wolves soon found him and slowly began to approach him. He seemed to have no escape. The events of this story took place in northern Ukraine near a mountain hotel, and it was the story of a young man who was on a trip with some friends and bad weather. And due to the occurrence of a strong snowstorm, the man lost his balance very much and lost in the middle of the roads, and suddenly passed out and lost consciousness. And he only found himself surrounded by a group of wolves. And the man felt that he'd been behind his companions for a long time and moved away from the hotel where he was staying with his friends. In this perplexing situation, the man feels very weak and cannot rise from his place. At the same time, he feels very cold and suddenly wakes up and finds himself in the midst of a group of wolves, and he cannot know his path, that he might end up in the fangs of these predators. But what happened with him was something that made him feel surprised when the wolves gathered and surrounded the man from every side. The horror began to take hold of him, but the wolves felt the weakness of the man and were seeking his warmth so he would not die in this cold weather. The man spent his entire night in the group of wolves, and because he was a photographer, he was carrying his camera with him. And when he fell from his hands, he was the last thing that captured this legendary scene. But what happened later? The police located the man and reached him after the storm ended. The hotel management decided to use the image as propaganda for the hotel and invite people to live the atmosphere of charming nature. Thanks for watching. Please like and share the video in social networks. We'll be right back to you as fast as we can.